All right, come on in, everybody.
I feel like I'm at a jazz
slash
spa.
Rave. Welcome back to the Holler, tnholler.com. At the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook is where you can find us. We also have hollers hollering all across the state. Thanks to your support. Always appreciate it. Keep it coming. Also want to send a shout out to Elisa Parker for supporting us. If you're looking to buy a house in Tennessee, do it through her. That's a way to support us. And if you need a lawyer for any reason, Aftyn, Abby Rubenfeld is who you should reach out to. And if you need any jewelry, AJ Martin, not your grandmother's jewelry store in Nashville. We appreciate all of their support. It really does help keep us hollering. And speaking of hollering, if you followed us for any amount of time, the person we're going to talk to today is a familiar face to you, but she is doing something new and different, something exciting, something that I think a lot of people are happy to see. Aftyn BEHN is running for State House. She has announced today, and we're going to talk to her about her campaign and why and all that good stuff. Aftyn, congratulations, first of all, for making it official.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming. I was just reminiscing about your campaign launch. And we've really come full circle, and so I'm really honored to be running for this district and excited to launch on the Holler today.
Awesome. Well, Leonard Asante is watching, and if you are watching and any of you have any questions, definitely feel free to comment along and ask them. Aftyn, so I guess let's start from, at what point did you decide that you were going to do this?
Yeah, so all of you know that all of you, for those of you who've been following the Holler, I've been organizing in the state since Trump was elected when I moved back to East Tennessee. And I've been in the trenches since then, organizing hundreds of protest rallies, supporting Democrats up and down the ballot, including Mr. Justin Canoe. And for many of us, I think the Tennessee 3 was a breaking point. And I realized that the progressive voices in the state legislature need a fourth. And I have supported all of these candidates. I have canvassed for Gloria Johnson. We've organized with Justin Jones, and I realized that they need more support internally. Additionally, I felt like ahead of 2024 that we have an opportunity to take back some of these seats in order to remove ourselves from the super minority. So I really look at my role as I was quoted in the scene today, but as an outside agitator coming into the inside to support the Tennessee 3, to lend more of a progressive voice to the House caucus, and to organize the caucus ahead of 2024 elections.
Very cool. Well, having known you for some time, I know that, you mean it when you say that you'd be a progressive voice for sure. You've been uncompromising in your views. We should point out this is the seat that was left behind by Representative Bill Beck, who passed recently. And, obviously so sorry to his friends and family. I knew him, nice guy. He was up there fighting the fight for sure. And, now Aftyn has announced, and this is your website, aftynbehn.com. I guess, what should people know about the type of representative you would be when you get up there, and how that might compare to some of the other legislators, whether Republican or Democrat?
Yeah, I think so. I attended Representative Beck's funeral, and I laughed, I cried. He was so beloved by so many people, and his trait in the legislature was working across the aisle and navigating the internal politics of that. However, I think from when he ran initially in 2014, the state legislature has changed dramatically. There are more MAGA Republicans. There are less women. Tennessee ranks last in the country for female representation in the state legislature. Things are not getting better. And so I feel like we need more of those Tennessee 3 moments, and I'm the exact type of person and organizer to make those moments happen. And I do feel like there are some, obviously, as Representative Johnson loves to say, we pass lawsuits, not laws. But I do think there's ways to work with moderate Republicans in terms of, whittling away and dismantling some of this bad legislation. But this is a moment when you're in the super minority, your job is to be loud about what's happening in Tennessee to the country. And I have the network to do that.
Well, you definitely have walked the walk for some time. I want to pull up a picture that I always think of when I think of you. This is Aftyn up in the balcony. Tell us what's going on in this moment, Aftyn, and kind of what it says about what you've been doing for some time.
Sure. So I call this my Evita Peron moment, the Don't Cry for Me Argentina when she's on the balcony of the Casa Rosada. But this was, so those of us who lived through the 2019 legislative session, I guess, after it, we thought, oh, well, it can't get worse. And it always does. But during that legislative session, we saw the attack on public schools through the pushing of the school vouchers. This was the inception of the David Byrd campaign, of which women who were sexually assaulted by Representative David Byrd, we came together and we lobbied at the legislature to get him removed from office. And this was the end of the legislative session when all of my friends had been arrested at this point for speaking up, including Representative Justin Jones. And at this point, I was the only one left. This was the last day of the legislative session. And I felt like then Speaker Cassada, I didn't want him to leave with a clean slate. And so I lurched myself over the balcony and I was just screaming at the top of my lungs, like, you're terrible, you're racist, like, blah, 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 blah. And then I was quickly removed from the balcony and taken and cited. But it was wonderful because, Justin, do you remember months later, when they were taking the vote to remove him from his speakership, and we were at the 21 Century Hotel downtown at the bar while it was happening below us. And we ended up feeling, I feel very vindicated. I mean, he's now indicted on charges of bribery, lost, didn't win his seat again. And so it was really a critical moment for me.
Yeah, Cassada was the shortest serving speaker in Tennessee history.
Wait, really?
Yeah. And I think a large part of that, was obviously the Phil Williams reports, but certainly the Byrd stuff kind of lit the fire. And it's how we started the holler was through all that. So, and you were right there on the front lines of it. Here's another picture of you.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. You're making me cry. Yes.
So, it's definitely, this is something that you've been fighting for a long time. And as you said, I just wanted to bring this up. Tennessee has the lowest percentage of women in the legislature, I think, in the entire country, which is something that not a lot of people seem to realize. So that's an important part of this also. One of the questions I would have, I think you probably heard that leaked audio that we posted from inside the Republican caucus. And in that audio, you heard Sapicki saying they're at war for the Republic. Democrats are not our friends. Do you have any hesitation about going up to a legislature where that is the culture, or do you feel like that's why you're needed?
I mean, as you and I both know, the Tennessee legislature is a cesspool. And I think it takes a certain type of person with the gumption and resilience that I have and that I've built over, I've generated over the past few years. And so I know going into, we are at a critical moment in history with creeping authoritarianism and the far right attacks on transgender kids and our LGBTQ community. And they're on the wrong side of history. And I have no problem saying that. And I think that they're the minority opinion and they need to be silenced. And I plan to leverage my position and privilege and power and the constituency of House District 51 to help me in doing that.
One of the things that I've noticed is, there doesn't seem to be a ton of calling out of Democrats sometimes when they are a little bit too go along to get along with some of the things that Republicans are doing. Do you feel like you would be a voice that might pressure your own caucus in a way if you were up there? And is that sometimes needed more than happens? I know the Tennessee 3 do that sometimes, but maybe we need more of that.
I mean, I think that the Democratic caucus is not immune to the systems of oppression that we see in terms of misogyny. And it's just, obviously everyone's always working on it, but I do feel there's only 2 female representatives in the entire Democratic caucus. And I do feel like my voice is important. And that I also understand that there are Democratic legislators who have been in the legislature for quite some time, and they've had to broker deals with Republicans, and that's the game of politics. But I plan to bring the Ann Richards realm of politics, which for those of you who may not know, she was the former governor of Texas, and she had this conviviality and kind of sarcasm that helped her not necessarily work across the aisle, but add a lot of levity to the situation and some of the more extreme moments. So I thought about my first moments walking into the House, not the Democratic caucus, but the House, and I imagine looking at Sexton and saying, like, listen, I don't like your politics. I've said some really not nice things about you on Twitter, but now you're my colleague, and I'm actually a really nice, fun person. So, but I do know that the legislature is ripe with misogyny and racism. And like I said, I think we're at a critical time where we need voices like mine that will stand up to that.
So the election is August 3rd. The special session, theoretically, that we still have not had an official call for, that I want to point out, would be August 21st. So theoretically, you would be there for the special session. What do you feel like needs to happen to get that special session to where we need it to be? And are you going to be out there, helping these students, like the ones that are going to be in Sumner County tomorrow, pressure Republicans and Governor Lee to stand up to the radicals that are trying to kill the idea of a special session?
I mean, I think we're at an inflection point where the state is watching. As we know, the House Republicans, they are beholden to the NRA and they don't want any change. And I think Governor, there we go. You were paused for a moment. And I think there's a lot of obviously politics at play, but my role in all of this is to do what I do best, which is organizing external pressure and elevating those voices from within, especially across the state and some of the rural communities that are dealing with a gun epidemic quite visibly. And I, once again, I think Nashville needs to be represented by a progressive voice who is a fighter and who is supporting the Tennessee 3 in their calls for gun control. And I plan to just support Representative Pearson, Jones, and Johnson in doing so.
Well, Robert is asking if you've received endorsements from the Tennessee 3. Robert,
question.
she just announced today, so I don't know if we have endorsements yet. I don't know if the 3 of them are doing endorsements. I'm not sure what that will look like. But I mean, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I mean, I would love to go public and say I would love the endorsements of any of the sitting caucus members, but I understand that the politics are a bit sensitive right now, especially with the passing of Representative Beck and there being, Democratic, Justin, you and I love a good primary, but a lot of folks don't. So I understand if they don't, it's a truncated timeline in a race. And I understand that if it doesn't happen, but I would love to receive the endorsements from the Tennessee 3.
Yeah, I had a primary.
Yes,
I didn't want one, but I will say that I did find that it actually made me a better candidate in the end for the general election. And it was a moment to celebrate, when we won. So you do have a primary. I don't know if there will be any endorsing from the Tennessee 3. But what I will say is, there aren't many people and we can't rewrite history, but there aren't many people where I feel like I could say pretty confidently that had you had been in there, I feel like you probably would have gone to the well with them. And there were only 3 people in the well of the entire caucus, and I've known you long enough to know that you probably would have been standing there in the well with them had that happened. So I don't know about endorsements, but I can say confidently that as a friend of Aftyn's, I think she would have been right there. Another thing that I do want to point out about the special session that we've just seen in the last day here is the Tennessee Firearms Association put out their own survey that showed that 62% support a red flag law while only 25% oppose. Now, they've qualified that and saying, but when we told them that means the person stays in society and doesn't get removed from society, that goes down to about even. But, I don't think that really backs up their point at all. A red flag law, by their own survey, has support in the community. And then also they stepped on a rake recently last night when they put their own survey out on Twitter. And now 95% of people of the 2,000 that have voted say it's the gun. So what do you think when you see that most people are supporting red flag laws and these polls are showing the people are on the side of doing this?
Well, I thought this was a parody account because the polls were
That's funny.
okay. I mean, it just goes to show you. I mean, poll after poll in Tennessee shows that the general public, a majority of voters, want gun control and they want guns off their street. They want their communities to be safe, and they don't necessarily want more, police or schools. They want it to be an all-encompassing, holistic approach. And I think there's going to be a lot of commentary about that moving forward.
All right, Aftyn, I'm going to let you get out there and go do your campaigning and run. But what do you want people to know? Where can they help you? Just as a last thing here, where can they come to support and find out more about your campaign? And just what do you want them to know about what you would be?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's www.aftynbehn.com. Truth be told, I designed the entire website. I'm really proud of it. I love it. You can get my full story from when I was a Girl Scout to now, just a photo of you on it. But just to say that I've been fighting and challenging the extreme Republican Party in this state for a long time. I've been organizing and working my tail off to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. And now I'm asking for your vote to get me to the legislature so that I can support the Tennessee 3 in the upcoming special session.
Aftyn, I'm glad you're doing this. Good luck to you. We're going to be watching. I know it's going to go quickly, but absolutely we need more progressive voices up there. So good luck to you. Stay in touch. Let me know how it goes, and we'll be watching.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. Bye, all.
All right, bye. That is our friend Aftyn Behn, who is running for State House for the seat that Bill Beck left behind. My advice to everybody who's considering running is please do it. Please run, whatever it's for, whether it's for city council, county commission, school board, State House. We need good people running. And, I full disclosure, have never met her primary opponent. I hope to at some point, but I will say I do know Aftyn. I've known her for a long time. And I mean it when I say that I do believe she would have been there in the well with the Tennessee 3 that day. And I don't know that there's a ton of people that I could say that about. So you take that for what it is worth. And she's in Nashville running. The election is August 3rd. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Again, aftynbehn.com is the website. Early voting July 14th. The election day is August 3rd. Justin Jones has a special election that day also, and he does have a general election opponent. And actually today, Justin Pearson has a primary in his special election in Memphis, and that's going on right now. So there are elections to pay attention to. More progressive voices getting up there is really important. And, definitely RIP to the late Bill Beck. And now there's an opportunity to replace him with potentially somebody that is a very real progressive voice. Again, I don't know her opponent, hope to meet him, but in the meantime, definitely check out Aftyn's campaign, support her if you so desire, and we'll be watching for sure. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.